Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday evening, which means we are going to talk about coping with life. And as usual on a Friday evening, I am going to do a little bit of cooking and hopefully find a slightly healthier way to do chicken tenders. I don't know about the rest of you, but I really enjoy chicken tenders. But the problem is that they probably are a little bit more bread in them than I would like. And so what I thought, and flour, the carbs, basically. And so what I thought I'd do is some experiments tonight to see if we could come up with some ideas of how we might coat them with breadcrumbs, obviously, to start with, but then how could we do it in a more healthy way? Hi, Izza, good to see you. And so what I wanted to do is to, as usual, get your input. I've got all sorts of things lined up here that I will show you um, that we could use, and maybe we will try to use some of them. Thanks to Pat, if she happens to watch this, for the uh, apron that I use for my Dear Mama Sal cooking. It's really kind of you to have done that for me, and I appreciate it. Just in case you were not at the lunchtime broadcast, and those of you who are regular viewers of Dear Mama Sal and maybe go back a bit, I just do want to announce that to our absolute shock, we heard that Louisiana Laurie, otherwise known as Lolo, passed yesterday. And I still don't quite know why. And if I do find out, I obviously, if I can get permission to share it, I will share it with you. But I just wanted to make sure those of you who are regular watchers that you know that that has happened. And it's really, really sad. All right, now then, let us get on to the uh, next part of this. I wanted to do two things today. Number one is the chicken tenders, or chicken strips, whatever you want to call them. And the other is to do a little bit, as you can see there, a little bit of orange and carrot soup with ginger. And the reason is I've got extra carrot in the fridge at the moment, so I thought I would use some up. And obviously, we will talk around what else we could do with it, depending on what you've got. But I don't want to make a whole lot of soup. I just want to make some for myself for tonight and maybe a little bit for tomorrow. But, not a whole. I don't know about the rest of you, but when I make a whole container of soup, a saucepan full of soup, I end up throwing half of it away. So I don't want to do that. I just want to make a little bit. And I will show you how I'm going to do that. All right, so the first things first. Let me ask you, what is the right amount of meat to that is a serving these days? And I'm just going to go and get the chicken out because what I want to do is to actually measure it so we all know exactly what it looks like. All right, so here's my goodie here. I'm going to do it in American just to start with, and then I'll switch it around so I can show show you what it looks like in Canadian. So if you want to have a guess, go right ahead. What do you think it is? How much it is a helping? I'm just going to wash my hands a little bit here. They're already washed, but just want to do it one more time because we're dealing with chicken and it's raw. From what I can understand, a serving is 4 ounces. So let's see what that looks like for us. Yeah, that's about 2. I think this will be too much. No, just about right. Okay, so yuck. All right. I just want to put the chicken back in the fridge while we talk. So this is 4 ounces, or you just get it. It would be roughly come on, Sal, you can do this. That's ounces, so now we need it. Oops, this needs to be on 0. There we go. 4 ounces or 100 grams in Canadian. And let's be honest, it's not a lot. So this is a serving of anything. Chicken. It actually looks more than it is. Those are 2 fairly small pieces. However, we can work with it, right? And it's a good idea every now and then to measure, to remind yourself, am I serving everybody twice what they're meant to have in protein at the moment? And, that's really important to know. So if you're doing chicken tenders, I always like to have this discussion. How would you do them? Hi, Beth. Good to see you. And I'm just going to cut these up so that we can work with them. Okay. And let me see. Yeah, Jody is saying a great idea to measure from time to time. I quite honestly try and remind myself, because it's very easy to have too much. And I realized that particularly yesterday when I went out to a restaurant with my friends, and I just saw the amount of food that they were serving, and I go, it's no wonder we're obese when you see how much they serve. So I'm pretty sure that most of you would start off with some egg, am I right? So you would dip the chicken in egg and then in breadcrumbs. So we're going to start by actually doing just that. Now, if I've got anybody that wants to really help me out here with doing some research as we do these, I'm certain Jody would appreciate the help. And that is, I'm going to, first of all, bread these with a little bit of sourdough, let's say about half a slice of sourdough. I'm going to put the salt and pepper into the egg, just so that I know it's there. And obviously, I'm not going to be putting garlic in anything because I'm allergic, but feel free to put that in wherever you would normally do it. So let's start with doing it. Here I've got some sourdough breadcrumbs. Now you'll see they're pretty big ones because I would like to have them crunchy. And I'm not going to fry them. I'm going to bake them on here. What did I do with the plates? All right, so first of all, I am just going to put some of the sourdough here, and I'm just going to drench the chicken in egg. Then roll it in the breadcrumbs. Now, the nice thing about chicken tenders is they don't take very long. And I'm pretty sure that some of you have probably got air fryers by now. I'm not cooking it in my halogen tonight because I just wanted to make sure everybody could see it's possible just to do it this way. So instead of deep frying them, I'm literally just baking them on a sheet like this. Yeah. And just a healthy reminder, when you've finished with the breadcrumbs, throw them away because they're contaminated now. Okay. So you will see that I have put them on there without any oil, just straight onto that grilling surface. I've got a baking mat on there. It's actually a barbecue mat, one of these that I've cut to size. And you could also use a silicone one like this, but what I find is that if you're using them, you don't really need that. Yes, so with eggs to make them extra crunchy. So we've got the crunch in here anyway from the sourdough, and we've already drenched them in eggs, so we're hoping that that will look pretty good. And I want to show you that they do actually work without having to put a whole lot of fat on them. For those of you who want to, really just give them a quick spritz with one of these things, Pam or whatever it is that you happen to use, but you don't need to use a whole lot of oil. And that automatically makes it a whole lot healthier. I'm using sourdough crumbs, which is healthier than I didn't use any flour, if you notice. I just literally used egg and then breadcrumbs. So automatically that becomes more healthy. Is that making any sense to anybody? So it's the little changes you make that end up all adding up to bigger changes. And that's what we're going to be doing. So while that's cooking, I wanted to show you that I've got all sorts of options here, and you guys can help me create some magical things at the moment. What about if you used coconut flour? If you drench them in egg and then in coconut flour, and then cook them, would that give the chicken a really interesting taste? And by the way, coconut flour is only 3% carbs. So I thought I'd mention that. What about if you dip them in egg and then into almond flour? That's what this is. The interesting thing is that almond flour is only 1% carbs. So you can have them as often as you like if you're using almond flour. I am not sure about Planko, and maybe Jody, you could just have a look. I think Planko is fairly dense in carbs. All right, Panko, I mean. Um, I'm pretty sure that's fairly dense in carbs because that's regular type breadcrumbs. Jody's suggesting, how about crushed pork rind? Yes, wonderful taste. I was thinking, you can obviously do it in regular breadcrumbs, and they're about 7% carbs. I also thought, what if you drench them in something like one of the flours and then in Parmesan cheese? Panko is 78 carbs per cup. Right, what percentage is that, Jody? What percentage of carbs? Just so we can do it. But how many of you going? That would be nice. Flaked Parmesan cheese. I was thinking would work. I've got some. This is one that I'd really recommend. How many of you keep the bottom of your cereal packets? The crumbly stuff at the bottom? All right. I keep mine, and I use them whenever I want to, have a sort of different taste. And today what I'm going to be doing is, these are crushed mini wheats, the bottom of crushed mini wheats. I just did a bit extra just so we'd have plenty to work with, but I'm definitely going to try that. And I don't know if you probably, can you see the browning on there already? Because they're browning up really nicely, so we can do the second set now. All right, what would you like me to try for the second set? All right, give me some input here. What would you like to see me try? And remember, the whole reason we do this is just to experiment. Let's see if it works. I'm going to get the chicken out. So again, we're going to do about 100 grams or 4 ounces. Let's turn that to 0. And one thing that I heard is that if you use fresh chicken breasts, it'll be even juicier than if you use. These happen to be frozen chicken breasts that I have thawed. So I'm just going to cut this up a little bit. Yeah, that's good. And I'm going to put the chicken back in the fridge. Always be careful of chicken. Bernice, All right, you want to see the almond flour? Okay, well, when you check it later, I will do the almond flour next, so you will know that's the one to check for. All right, so I'm just going to do this. And quite honestly, chicken is sticky enough that I think you can basically just take a plastic bag, put your chicken in, drop in some almond flour, and again, it's an experiment. And what I want to show you is that, you know, there you go, and it's sticking to it. So now, if you wanted to double coat it, maybe you wanted to have almond flour and something, then I would dip it in egg again. But just like this, it worked. So let's put that on. I just want you to see that the chicken itself is wet enough. I've now got almond flour on my computer, that it sticks to it. All right, so that's pretty easy, wasn't it? Just going to check on the chicken, the first lot, to see if it's done. Yep, it's done. That was easy. Oops. So as you can see, nice and crunchy and very simple to cook. And no fat, just a little bit of egg and some breadcrumbs. We'll let that cool. Now then, the next one. Shall we try some coconut and Parmesan? Is that overkill, do you think? Oh, I know what else we've got. We'll do that with the regular ones. So let's try coconut flour and some Parmesan together. Not quite sure how I'm going to do that, so let's put some. This is what I call the flaked Parmesan, not the fine. I don't know if you can see that. It's sort of bigger than the fine grind. And some coconut. Okay, and let's cut up some more meat. Another thing I want to add is if you do want to use flour, think about using 50% regular flour and 50% almond flour. Um, I know almond flour is expensive, and just by cutting half and half, you will make it that much healthier than just having regular flour. I wonder the taste of coconut on chicken. I'll let you know. I don't know why I thought it was worth the try. So I'm just going to mix that up a little bit. Okay, get some more chicken. Pretty sure that's going to be too much. Yep, just a little bit too much. Take that off to start with. Take this bit off. I think we should be good. Yep, absolutely spot on. So that much chicken, like a fillet of sole, is just right. Beth is saying that she had French fries today and a couple of Red Bulls. Yes, it's not your healthiest eating day, but that's okay, Beth. Just don't do it every day. And with all due respect, Beth, you were the one that got me inspired about eating, little healthy protein snacks. So I will always thank you for that. Just want to turn these over. Okay. So coconut, flour, and Parmesan. And I have got enough left, I think, for one more. What's Beth saying? Oh, Beth, I'm so sorry to hear that. Beth had a problem at work this week, and she's saying that one of her door coolers caught fire. She had to call her husband to come help. Good for you. Astoria's next to the Board of Education all day, protesters with signs about their rights to not allow their children to wear masks. It was crazy. Yeah, I just heard in between the broadcasts, I think it was in Florida or Texas, 3 teachers died already, and all 3 of them from COVID, and all 3 of them were unvaccinated. And, they were apparently teaching kindergarten. Scary stuff, right? So we have got probably enough for one more, or a couple of 2 different sorts. That will be our choice. So I'm thinking the bacon bits and something. Oh, really weird. How about we do the crushed the crushed mini wheats and bacon bits? I mean, how insane would that be? Sweet and sour. Not quite sour, but sweet and bacon. And I think I'm going to dip them. So let's get that on here. So here we've got some. And by the way, this is the most dangerous in terms of carbs. 18% carbs, but Jody, it said 24% was fiber. So go figure that one. Yeah, Beth, that's called being a business person. Beth said, I don't agree with what they're protesting about, but my sales today were off the charts because of the protest. Yes, that's, I know what you mean. So this is what crushed mini wheats look like. And I'm going to add some bacon bits to it. Because everything goes better with bacon, right? I'm pretty sure these will be done by now. Let's make sure. Okay, they're done. So these are the Parmesan and coconut. Now, we still got to think about what dips, because you can have different dips with each one. So I think that's looking pretty good. This one is pretty cool by now, so we'll put that on the side. We'll put this one to cool. Yeah, this is the Parmesan, and this one is Parmesan and what was the second one? Does anybody remember? I have to go back. I'll let you know when I taste it. All right, so here we go. This is going to be bacon and mini wheat. And we're going to use whatever's left now. So just about the right amount. I used about 2.5 chicken breasts to do all of these. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different meals from it. And that is pretty amazing, I think. So do we have a better idea of what a helping of chicken looks like? You know, what 4 ounces of chicken looks like? And do we have a better idea that we don't, in order to get chicken tenders, we don't have to have a lot of fat and a lot of flour and stuff. We can do them without that, right? We can just literally cook them on their own. Now, obviously, you could just cook them by coating them in different sauces. You know, you could use sweet and sour sauce and just coat them in that and still have very tasty bits, you know, or as we were talking at lunchtime today, you know, coat them in mustard or coat them in whatever, right? And the main thing is give yourself lots of different tastes. It's really important that you go, all right, that is 4 different meals and each of them has a completely different taste. And then it's a case of what do I want to dip them in? And, you know, mayo is healthy for you. So there's nothing wrong with mayo. And if you want to, you know, smarten up the mayo a bit, you know, maybe you do mayo with a little bit of curry powder in it. One of the good things to think about is most of the seasonings, you know, are not going to do you much harm. So even if you did mayo and cinnamon as an idea, or mayo and something, you know, think about what can I use. And quite honestly, for the small amount you're going to use, a little bit of relish would be not a problem with the mayo. You know, just get creative and think about things that you can have. Jodie's saying it doesn't have to be junk food. It can be healthy food. And that's what I wanted to show you, you know, that even with using the mini wheat powder, if you like, even though that would be the most carbs in every way, you're using so little. What did I use? Perhaps 1/4 cup. You know, it's not going to do you a whole lot of harm. And I'm going to throw this away. Just remember the reason I'm throwing it away, it's had uncooked chicken on it. So that's going away. All right, and let's see if this is cooked. Yep. And as you can see, we've basically cooked 4 protein bites or meals, whatever you want, in half an hour. I mean, it's just over half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. I reckon that's pretty good meal prepping. There we go. Turn these over. Oh, that's definitely coconut in there. You know, I can, but must be the coconut underneath it that I can smell. It's here. Okay, so there's the coconut one. And again, you can see it's browned nicely. Didn't have to have oil on it to make it brown. Smells good. Pretty simple. Now I have got some egg left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cook that up at the end, so we don't waste it. And I will just let it mingle with all the bits that are on here. And obviously I've got some sort of cross bits, some of the bacon bits will get onto the bit with, who cares? It's going to be tasty. And, for me, that's always the experiment. What's it going to taste like? And we'll find out. All right. Any comments? How else could you have cooked them? I'm hoping that as I do this, you're thinking, yeah, but Sal, what if you had used, Jody's saying, I'm making these. Well, pretty simple here, Joe. And you can do it in a frying pan if you want to. But what I wanted to show you was I didn't use any oil. None. I didn't even spritz it with oil. And I didn't do it in an air fryer that says, that you can do it. This is just like, think about what you're doing and keep experimenting to find out, can I do it without oil if necessary? I personally do like those barbecue mats to cook on because they're so easy to clean. They're much easier to clean than the actual surface. You just literally drop one of those into the dishwasher and it takes hardly any room at all. Whereas a big frying pan I obviously can't drop my crepe maker into the dishwasher. But the cleanup on the crepe maker is minimal. I just put a wet cloth over it in case anything got onto it. But quite honestly, the actual mat is the bit that goes into the dishwasher. And for those of you who know I've had a problem with my dishwasher, this week the guy came to fix it, and it no longer falls every time I open it up, which is very good for my blood pressure. When did I come back? In March, right? End of March. So since March, every time I opened up my dishwasher and pulled a drawer up, the whole dishwasher came sort of about a quarter out of its housing and literally clunk, You do that 3 times a day. I can tell you that you've got a heart. It's quite exciting. So now they've managed to secure it. And in a way, I've got so used to it. March, April, May, June, July, August. For 5 months, I've been getting the shock 3 times a day. And I keep opening it carefully and holding onto the top rack. And then I remember, I don't have to do that anymore. It's such fun. Beth, I want to go back on, your comment about your workmate, and I left it for a little while because I wanted to be able to get in the right frame of mind. Because we lost one of our viewers today, Louisiana Laurie, otherwise known as Lolo, passed yesterday. And I'm sorry to hear that you have got an employee that just found out she has got cancer all over her body. I am so sorry to hear that. And Beth is saying she was crying uncontrollably. And so I drove her home and took her shift. Of course, that's who you are, Beth. And, there is so little that you can do to help her. And that surely was a help. And it's startling not only for her, but her whole family. I wrote a note for Louisiana Laurie's family today. And what I said to them was, obviously on behalf of all the Dear Mama Sal viewers that knew her, we will always remember her amazing smile and her incredible compassion and kindness. And to me, it is so difficult when we have to say goodbye to people, and especially when it was unexpected. Just so difficult. And Beth, remember to look after yourself as well. You are a leader, and you prove that time and time again, and you did the right thing. You know that. But that news will have had some effect on you. So please do what you can to eat properly, rest as much as you can, and give your body a fighting chance. Please. I know you'll ignore me, but I've got to say it anyway. And, the reason I say that is because we forget that that sort of news doesn't just affect the person who gets the news. It affects everybody that knows them and loves them. We all get stressed by that. Not to the same degree, but we all do get a high level of stress from it. All right, so there is the final one. And if you notice, each time when I'm checking the chicken, yeah, I know it's the timer, honey. When I check the chicken, I always check the fattest piece first. All right, because that's the one I'm really interested in. Thank you for reminding me, Jody. I did know. I'm pretty sure you'll all agree that that probably will do 2 meals for me, or 2 lunchtime snacks. All right. So we can actually say that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots out of this. And again, it browned without any fat on it at all. And now, rather than waste the egg, I'm going to just cook that up. With the bits. Lots of good bits on here. Oh. So this is a little bit of egg, a little bit of bacon, a little bit of coconut, a little bit of flour. What else did we put in there? Parmesan, a little bit of Parmesan. So done. Turn that off. So what would you like me to taste? I'm just going to put a little bit of water on there so that it will soften it up. I'm actually going to take a used paper towel. By the way, a lot of you know that I reuse pieces of paper towel, and this is the sort of thing I use them for. All right, it's just to put a wet paper towel on the top of that and let it steam, and then once it's done that, I will use the paper towel to wipe it down. The coconut flour and Parmesan, right? That would be this one, I think. This is it. Okay. All right, so this is the coconut flour and Parmesan. That actually, this is without any dip. I'm trying to think how I would describe it. It's not crunchy. It's soft. But boy, you can taste the coconut, the Parmesan not so much, and that's okay. Because we know it's there. And it didn't detract away from, it actually was not an unpleasant mixture with chicken, which is what I wondered. Quite surprised about that. In other words, tastier than I thought it would be. So there we go. And I'm just covering them up because after the broadcast, I'll take a picture of them. But I've got a fly in the kitchen and I don't want it sitting on my food, obviously. So now I am going to put this lot away and then we will do the soup. Oh, did any of you want me to taste this? I'm still tasting it. So if you think about it, this is another protein bite, but it's got a little bit of everything in it. It's egg, crunchy bits. Okay. I recommend doing this. Yep, nothing wrong with that, people. What it tastes of is mostly egg, and it's difficult to actually identify the other tastes in it because they're all mixed up. Another bit of bacon. Yep, that works. And protein bite with crunchies. We like that. All right, so now let us move on to the next thing. Okay. Now, obviously, when I finished everything, I will disinfect the board, and because it's had raw chicken on it. So again, how do you disinfect your cutting boards if you have had raw chicken on it? Let's see what everybody does. because that's how everybody learns new ideas. I actually use a little bit of Comet and scrub it down, or a little bit of bleach water and scrub it down, and just leave it on there for about 10 minutes, then come back and really rinse it off. I just wonder what the rest of you do. Maybe you've got a better idea for me. We had chicken in here, so this needs to go through the dishwasher on sanitize. And now let's do the next bit. Anybody got any hacks? I've got fresh oranges coming in tomorrow, but I've got a big orange that is getting a bit soft at the top. And so I'm going to cut off the top of it and then use the rest of it. I've got some leftover onion and carrot. So for those of you who've got a potato peeler like this, all right, I think you know that you can use it like this. You know, and just make, you don't need to dice, you can just do this for the carrot. Great if you were doing things like coleslaw or anything like that. It makes it so easy. Now, you guys know I've got one of these as well, which makes even thinner strips. And I use this mainly for decoration over salads and things. But, you know, it makes really thin slices like this. Okay. So we're going to do the carrot and the orange. Just going to cut that little bit up. And again, think about this at the end of the week. Yeah, what have I got left and what can I do with it so that I don't waste it? Isabel's saying I never did this, did it the long way. Okay, so you learned something today, is it? We like that. Yeah, I didn't learn it until quite recently as well. Okay, so I'm using a full carrot, big one, and I'm going to cut the end off the orange because that's getting a bit dry. So I'm going to put the orange. You see how it's just getting dry at the end here? Okay, all right, so there we've got that and that. We're going to put a little bit of ginger in with it. All right, so Kimmy's saying a person told me that they've had their booster vaccine for the other variant. Does anyone know about it? I was talking about that at lunchtime. What I heard this afternoon, Kim, is that people have gone to their local pharmacy But the pharmacies haven't been given the okay to give those shots yet. Now, I don't know how your person got theirs, but what I heard was by Monday, all the pharmacies should have had the okay to go ahead and do that. So I would phone your pharmacy and just check whether they've got the okay or not. That would be my recommendation. And by the way, you don't have to be advised of it. You can, if you've got an autoimmune problem, you can literally just go in and tell them that. I also heard today that you don't have to prove it. So don't think you have to go with all sorts of paperwork. You just need to tell them. Or that is what I heard on the American television today. I'm going to put some water in with this. Remembering that I've got direct well water here, no chlorine or anything in it. So there we go. And now I'm just going to put this on and puree it all up. Just excuse the noise for a second. And I forgot the onion, people. Why didn't you remind me? I thought, yeah, it's missing something. What's it missing? Onion? Hang on, we'll do that again. There we go. That smells good. So now, that's too much. So we're going to split that up into two. So after the broadcast, what I will do is I will actually put those into my toaster oven and just let them cook quietly in the mason jars for probably about half an hour to 3/4 of an hour. Yeah, everything is pureed, so it won't take very long to cook, but we want all those different flavors to mingle in with one another. The other thing is, just before I serve it to myself, I will actually serve it in the mason jar, less washing up, wasting less water, but I will put a dollop of cream on top, and then probably just a pinch of mint. So just, the top of a mint bud like this, and just put that on top of the, I love the smell of mint, put it on top of the cream. So there you go, pretty easy. And so I've got 3 lots of soup for this week. I've got 5 meals or 5 snacks, depending on how I want to use that chicken. Or if I don't want to use it up this week, I can freeze it and bring it out. Now, you're wondering probably, if you freeze it, Sal, won't it go soggy? I'm pretty certain that some of you are thinking that if you freeze it and then take it out of the freezer. What I've discovered is, if you put it on a pan like this and just warm it up at about 250 for about half an hour, you'll find it's crispy again. And depending on how you like your tenders, it's a very easy way to do it. It's, a no hard work type stuff. You've already done all the work. Any questions? How many of you are going, I think I might use barbecue sauce on mine, right? Or what other things can we think of? I'm trying to think what else we could have used. I thought dipping them in tempura might have been another idea as well. Do any of you do that at all? Again, it's a bit carb heavy, but to actually dip chicken in tempura, and then you can still do it like this, although it's a little more messy. It's not quite as good as putting them in oil, but it works. So think about how many things you can create rather than just doing straight chicken breasts. I don't know many people that don't like chicken tenders in some way. And, so they're likely to be a good addition to your meal. Depending on how big the person is that you are feeding, obviously, some people you might give a few more bits to than others. But, the main thing is, remember, don't overfeed on the meat. Even though chicken and pork, the stuffed pork we did the other week, that, again, very low in fat. And that's a good thing to remember. Chicken and fish and pork are low in fats. So I try to do that more often than I do the beef, even though, I love my beef. But I try not to have it. I actually try to have beef sort of almost every other week. And but I allow myself to have bacon rather than beef. All right, and I know that's pork. I understand that. But, it's still, the bacon fat is not good for you. And I actually keep my bacon fat. What about you guys? I keep it to remind me how much fat there is in bacon. And this is from a large pack of bacon. And this is how much fat came off it. Can you see from here to here? And then what will happen is the next time I get things ready to go to the garbage, I will take out almost all the fat and just put that in the organics. But the stuff at the bottom, I keep for soups and things because it's very tasty. I normally keep a little bit of the fat. Sometimes, do any of you do fried bread? That's a British thing. But there's nothing like fried bread for breakfast, with an egg on it. So tasty, and I would do it in that fat. And to be fair, I cannot remember the last time I did that. But now I'm thinking, tomorrow is another day. Have I got bread? Yes, I cooked bread this week. So that may be what I do. All right, there we go. Pretty simple stuff. And I would just like to say that think about how to use up your leftovers. Remember, I even used up the extra egg and then created some more protein just out of using up the rest of the egg. And it will all get eaten in different ways either this week or in the next couple of weeks. Did anybody come up with a really good shopping hack this week? I found that Irish Spring soap really smells good in a cupboard. All right. And I think the moths don't like it too much either. And what I found was bulk buying Irish Spring soap works. I think you all know that I actually have a very fine mesh bag and I hang a bar of it in my cistern, the tank for my toilet. So instead of buying those things that you put on the side, I've got Irish Spring just quietly dissolving in my tank, but put it in a very fine mesh bag. One of these, put it in a fine mesh bag and then, secure it onto your toilet tank inside. Don't let it drop because it will mess up the valve in there. All right. So make sure it's tied in such a way, or I just turn mine around like this, put it over the edge and then put the lid on top of it. Make sense? But I've got a bar of Irish Spring just quietly dissolving in there. And you're asking why? I hardly have to clean my toilet. You know, that ring that you get normally? Hardly have to do it. Why? It's constantly coating my toilet with soap. And, every time I flush, it's soapy. And that's what we want. So, to my mind, by the way, it was the price of it. Hang on a second. I think I paid about a buck a buck a piece of soap, a full size thing of soap. I think they were about $1 each. That's a pretty good deal. And it's certainly way cheaper than buying those things that you put inside the toilet. Anybody else have any good shopping hacks this week? Let's hear them. For those of you who missed lunchtime, let me just quickly tell you what was there. We talked a lot about, obviously we talked about Lolo, but we also talked a lot about people manipulating you. And also the fact that we manipulate others and we need to be more aware. That's something to think about. And what I started to ask questions about is, where does it cross the line between being, helping somebody and actually manipulating them? And I'm still working on trying to find the answer to that, because we all tell people things trying to help them. But where does that become a manipulation? And I think it has to do with the intent. If my intent is to educate you, then is that manipulation? If my intent is to hurt you, then it is. If my intent is to make you do what I want you to do, then that is manipulation. And that is, I believe, where the differences are. So we had a lot of really great quotes around it as well that I am certain some of you will appreciate. So think about that. And I've got a couple of quotes that I wanted to put in today about relationship manipulation. And I saw a quote that said, "Don't let him have the satisfaction of knowing you will always be there waiting." Now, I don't think that's as negative as it sounds. What it's saying is, you know, don't be that person. All right. Have a life. Do things because you want to do them, not because somebody else. And by the way, if you're in a relationship where that other person wants to know absolutely everything you are doing every second of the day and wants to control who you see and when you see them, think about that. I thought this was a pretty good bit of advice. It said, give, but don't allow yourself to be used. Love, but don't allow your heart to be abused. Trust, but don't be naive. Listen, but don't lose your own voice. How many of you have been in a relationship where you ceased to be who you were? You know, I've done it, and I want to tell you that I will not do that again. You know, it was incredible to me how much I had to learn to be able to say, I will never do that again. I will never allow anybody to mold me into what they want me to be and think that's okay. I am okay. Listen, I'm a bit rough around the edges here and there, but you know, I am okay and I'm happy with who I am as a human. And so don't go trying to change me, right? How about this one? I'd rather have an enemy who admits they hate me instead of a friend who secretly puts me down. Anybody had that happen to them? And therefore, you know, I've got some friends that every now and then I will say to them, you know, I can't ask you for advice on this because I know you will always give me positive response. And right now I'm looking for some negatives in it, if there are any, rather than just the positive. I love, don't get me wrong, I love being told that, you know, things are good. But every now and then I will need to find somebody that will give me the downside of it, because it's important to me to make sure that I've got it, you know, looking at both sides. Um, how about this one? Sometimes when the people you love hurt you the most, it's better to stay quiet, because if your love wasn't enough, do you think your words will matter? I'm going to read that again. Sometimes when the people you love hurt you the most, it's better to stay quiet, because if your love wasn't enough, do you think your words will really matter? That doesn't mean that you should carry on taking the abuse. That means maybe you waste your breath trying to get them to hear you if they haven't heard you already. And what I was talking about at lunchtime is, you know, I had something happen to me where I criticized somebody this week, and I did it for a very good reason. I'm going to make sure I have quite a conversation about that and talk about what my intent was, why I said what I said the way that I said it, and that I will explain that I hope I don't have to do that again. But the reason that I did it was to show them what it felt like to hear something like that, because I had heard them doing it to somebody else. So think about that. How about this one? Never get too attached to someone, because attachments lead to expectations, and expectations lead to disappointment. Now then, that's a difficult one. I don't think I can say never get attached to somebody. I think a lot of us are attached to people, but also keep a healthy mind about it, all right? In other words, yes, you know, if that person were not to be in your life anymore, it would be a tremendous loss. But the question is, would you be able to survive? And if the answer is no, then start working out how you would be able to survive. You know, what would you need to do? Now, for some of you, that would be more difficult than others. But Be aware that none of us knows how much time we have or how much time the people we love have, as we found out, with Lolo yesterday. Um, it's like we never know. And so it's part of our job, to make sure that coping with life is that we make sure that we can have the plan ready in case something should happen. Somebody wrote that I fear getting close to people because I think they will just eventually walk out of my life, no matter how close we were. And some of you know that feeling. I am scared to really get too close to anyone for fear that they will hurt me by abandoning me. I understand that. But if you don't trust people anymore, then you don't live either. And so I think it's important for us to learn that, be careful who you trust, but don't be afraid to trust the right people. And how do you find out they are the right people? You tell them things a little bit at a time. And if they use those things to hurt you, you know not to trust them with much more. On the other hand, if they use those things to support you, you know that they love you and will not use your insecurities or your, your negatives against you. They will, work with you on those. How about this one? To the people who have made me feel disposable, thank you for reminding me why you don't deserve to be part of my life. Christina McNamara said that. Pretty powerful, right? How about this one? Don't talk to me because you're bored. I'm not here to entertain you. And don't come to me only when you need a favor. I don't like being used. How many of you have got pretend friends? The only time you hear from them is when they are either bored or they need something. That's pretty scary. And just make sure you understand what you're dealing with. um, I don't think I can read that out loud, but it's a good quote. I just want you to understand there's a word in there that I don't think YouTube will like, so I'm going to skip it. So here we are, all right? To look after who we are is important. To look after who we are and not be abused is our responsibility. And if we don't let people know that we are not around to be abused, right? It's not, I have not going to stand here and let you do that. It is important. It's really important that you can do that and set that boundary and not be scared that they may just not be in your life anymore. I think anybody who truly loves you would want to make sure you're never abused. That would be their number one wish. How about this one? I like this for a quote. It said, at the end of each day, I am at peace because my intentions are good and my heart is pure. And that's a wonderful way to go to bed. All right. When you go to bed and you're just about ready to go to sleep, say that to yourself. At the end of the day, I am at peace because my intentions are good and my heart is pure. In other words, I'm not carrying hatred and jealousy and evil. All right. My heart is pure. And it might have been not so pure during the day, but when you go to bed at night, remind yourself that your heart is pure. When you are coming from a place of love, it will be pure. And how about this? It says, Breaking someone's trust is like crumpling up a perfect piece of paper. You can smooth it over, but it's never going to be the same again. And the sad thing is that we have all, if we're human, we have all broken people's trust, not intentionally. And I don't know what you do when you accidentally break somebody's trust. I know that I grovel for as long as it takes. And I say the obvious, which is, hey, I can never say enough words to tell you how sorry I am that happened. There will never be enough words. But I want you to know it was not my intent. And I understand if you don't want to forgive me, right? Because trust is a really important thing. But what I would ask is, please give me the chance to prove that it was not the norm. Now, nothing excuses it, and I also say that nothing excuses breaking a trust. But I am human, not perfect. So please give me the chance, if you possibly can find it within you to do that. How about this one? People will provoke you until they bring out your ugly side. Then they play victim when you go there. Yep, been there and had that one happen. And it's amazing how they will say to you, suddenly it's your fault. And you become the victim again. Now, I remember this next thing here is something that Beth told us. How many of you lie with your back on the floor and your legs up against a wall? I was reminded of that this week, where it said this is yet a powerful yet incredibly restorative pose and is beneficial to the health of your heart. It gives your heart a rest so it doesn't have to pump as hard, and it helps slow down your heart rate, leaving you feeling relaxed with more calm mind. Spend 5 minutes here noticing the natural rhythm of your breath and see what happens. Now, I want to tell you, for some of us, that is not an easy pose. You will find out that there are vertebrae in your back that you've never talked to before. You're going, why did that suddenly hurt? Well, hello, it's not used to being in touch with the floor. And when you actually lie on your back with your feet up against that, you're sort of at an L shape like this. The idea is to get as many of your vertebrae, touching the ground as you can. And the thing is, it will feel very strange, and you're likely to hear some very strange noises from your back and your neck. And it will feel uncomfortable. Why? You don't get to do that very often. Now, for some of us, it's a good idea to be prepared and not scared. Make sure before you do that, you know how you're going to get back up again. In other words, if you have trouble getting up off the floor, are you close to something solid that can help you get back up again? Or do you have a cane or something that you can get back up? Are you near a sofa so you can hitch your way back to the sofa and then get up onto the sofa and then get up from there? All right, so make sure that you are safe if you're going to do that. That really is good for stretching the back of your legs. And the other thing that's good for stretching the back of your legs, Kimmy, is when you're in the kitchen, stand away from your kitchen counter and then lean forward and just stretch like this. Can you see what I'm doing? Let me see if I can go back even farther. All right, so I'm just going to touch the counter, and I'm probably about 3 feet away from the counter. And now I'm just going to lean into the counter, keeping my back straight, and it really stretches the back of your legs, your calves and everything. And it also is good for your upper body, chest stuff. All right, so just sort of do push-ups against Make sure that your feet are safe. When I say that your feet are safe, don't do it with slippers on that will slip. All right, I've got my Birkenstocks on and they're rubber at the bottom and they hold me really firmly. So, it's a really good thing to do to stretch the back of your legs. And the other thing is you can do it against a cupboard, right? Do that as well. But anything that makes you lean forward and keep your heels on the ground, you will find it stretches the back of your legs. Also, if you are doing that stretch up the wall, that also, if you keep your feet at a right angle, that will also stretch the back of your legs. I'm going to go ahead and lift that. So look at it and go, what is it I want to improve in my life this week? And have you got any habits that you'd like to improve? Have you got any goals that you would like to achieve? What is it that you would like to change this week? And how will you do it? I made a point today of not going outside. Thank you, Izzy. I really appreciate that. I made a point of not going outside today. Why? There was so much smoke. And I wanted to show you how bad the smoke is in my area today. I took a picture of it for you because when I saw how bad it was, I went, I am not going outside in that. So here's the first one. Can you believe this? Can you see the sun there? Can you just maybe slightly see the sun? I took another one in case you couldn't see that. This might be easier. I don't know if you can see the sun. But there is so much. I turn it sideways maybe. Hang on a second. Come on. Can you see the sun there? Just if you look really hard, that is how much smoke we had. And this was taken, the sun was probably taken, well, before I started the broadcast. So it wasn't sunset yet. All right. And the sun was that difficult to see. Pretty scary. So, Kimmy, why are your legs so sore? Would be my question. And did you talk to your doctor about what you should do about it? All right, because I don't know what's causing your legs to be really sore. Because that's not, have you been walking a lot, or is it just something that is happening and you don't know why they're sore? I ask it that way because sometimes our body is sore trying to tell us to pay some attention to it, and you may need to let your doctor know that it's happening to you. You've got a lot of things going on in your life, I know that, and you've got a lot of issues with your asthma and everything else. So if you think that you are sore for a reason that you don't understand, I would definitely have a chat with your doctor about it. If, on the other hand, you've been out doing stuff more than usual and that's why they're sore, then, easy to get lots of good exercises on YouTube and on the internet. Just, Google what exercises should I do for sore legs, depending where your leg is sore. Is it the whole of your leg, or is it the bottom part of your leg, your calves, or is it your thighs that are sore? Where on your leg are you sore? Because different exercises will obviously help you in different ways. Oh, there we go. Hang on a second. Kimmy's saying, the night the dog had her pups, I was sitting for a long time. I got up the next morning and couldn't walk or bend over. Yes, so sitting, You were sitting on the ground for a long time or sitting on a chair for a long time? I find if I sit for too long, for more than an hour, it gets sore for me. And so I make a point of trying to make sure I get up every hour and walk around. And that's a very good point, Kimmy. You were on your desk chair, okay? Again, you might want to see whether it's time to get a different one, maybe not a new one. Maybe you can pick one up at a garage sale or something. But I find if my desk chair isn't at the right height and my feet aren't, at the right angle, if this is the top of my leg and this is the bottom part of my leg here, if this angle isn't right, I get sore. I found that sitting on a ball chair really helps me. It really has helped my posture, and it has helped me, just sit better when I'm sitting. And it also exercises different muscles. I found that if sitting too long hurts you, it means that you're using muscles you don't normally use. So think about which muscles hurt and start doing exercises to help them. I found sitting on a ball chair, because you bounce a bit as well, it's exercising a lot of muscles while you're sitting there. And the fact that it is a ball chair, you keep adjusting to keep balance. And that I want to tell you, it's really helped my back and my legs. I've definitely got better circulation going because of that as well. So I also found that when I sat on my sofa, it was very difficult for me to get up from there, very painful for my hips and everything. And I realized what was happening, Kim, was that when I sat on the sofa, my butt was going too far down. My sofa was older. So now I have put better support under my sofa so that I don't have my butt drop down like that. So, and that has helped as well. It really makes it much easier for me to get up and out off the sofa. And, it's just like, listen to where it hurts. Your body's trying to tell you something. Yeah, and if you sat for a long time, the back of your legs and your glutes are bound to hurt. Yes, absolutely. So the thing is, remind yourself not to sit for a long time. I keep an eye on the clock, Kimmy, and I try and make a point of getting up and walking somewhere, somewhere else in the house to do something every hour. And, one of the things you might do is just set a timer, either on your watch or in your kitchen clock or something. Just set a timer for an hour. So, you can go and play on the computer for an hour, but it will remind you your hour is up. And some of us have to go to the washroom pretty regularly, so we don't need that alarm. I look at it that way, and it's just like, it's really important. And I really do try to make sure that I get extra steps in when I do get up. I actually make a point of doing things in each of the rooms just so that I can get a few more steps in. Good. Anybody else got anything else they'd like to chat about before I go? Thanks for bringing that up, Kimmy. Yeah, Kimmy's saying I don't usually sit for that long, mostly up, and I think that's why it happened. Absolutely. Are you taking anything like ibuprofen? Ibuprofen? I call it ibuprofen. To help that pain, because obviously you have, overly stretched a few muscles there by the sound of it. Well, you say you'll never do it again, but something, never say never, right? It happens. Oh, Jody's going, take magnesium and potassium. Banana and what's magnesium? What's got magnesium in it? I should know. Other than magnesium tablets, obviously. I know potassium is bananas. Jody will know. She's an expert on those things. So there we go. Think about cooking the things you love in a slightly healthier way. And the whole point of this is if you just cook it a little bit healthier, it will be healthier. All right? And so, as you saw, all right, I didn't have to deep fry anything. I could just literally pick it, uh, dip it, and half of it I didn't even dip an egg. I just literally let it cook. And so, oh, there you go. Isabel's saying pickle juice for magnesium. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Jody's adding greens, nuts, and whole grains. There we go. See? She knows her stuff. All right, everybody. So I'm going to get out of here. I hope that you found this valuable. Again, think how much I cooked out of just about 2.5 chicken breasts. And by the way, the reason I did it was 2 of the chicken breasts were frozen together. And I thought if I'm going to defrost it, I need to defrost both. So I need to cook something that will use both. And that's why I did. So have a great Saturday. I will see you on Sunday. And I do want to give everybody a heads up. If you could make a note, and I will keep telling you until it happens, but Friday the 27th, I will not be broadcasting. Dougie is coming to visit me. We're going to have our joint birthday celebration that day. And he's coming over in the afternoon to help me do some stuff. And so I want to keep the whole day free for him so that whatever time he comes, I will be ready and I won't waste any of his time. So just be aware that the 27th, it's a Friday, I won't be doing any broadcasts, all right? I'll put up warnings again, especially if Jody reminds me, but just know that is the point. It's a couple of weeks away. This is DearMamaSal saying, remember to use things more intelligently now. The prices are going to go escalating up again. Remember to get your stockpiles in. We were talking about this at lunchtime. Make sure you've got toilet paper. Make sure you've got paper towels. Make sure you've got tissues, facial tissues and stuff. All those basics. We are about to hit another panic, I think. And so whatever you can get in, do it and do it fast. I believe as well, keep looking for deals on meat and buy as much as you can. And if you've got a freezer, freeze it. So this is DearMamaSal saying, thank you for being here. It was fun to do. I'm going to go and enjoy some carrot orange soup with ginger and a little bit of cream and a piece of mint on top. I am then going to have some chicken tenders and dip. And, that will make quite a nice little snack for me this evening. And I find that now that is just about enough. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you on Sunday. This is DearMamaSal saying bye-bye for now.